Hi Kevin, you did a good job on this assignment. I can see that you have a really good understanding of domain and range. There's just one mistake that you made, and you made it kind of throughout the assignment. So I just wanted to briefly talk to you about that and explain it, and then you can go back and correct the ones that applies to. The mistake starts with question 2b. I know this diagram is a little bit small here. 2b is y equals x squared plus 6. So when you're doing the domain for that one, no matter what value you put in for x, because it's squared, you'll always get a positive. So the lowest value that you can get for the x squared portion of the equation is 0. If I put in minus 1, for instance, I'm going to get minus 1 squared equals 1, so 1 plus 6 equals 7. So the lowest possible range, the lowest possible y value is going to be 6 there. So what you want to write for the range is that y is always greater than or equal to 6. Okay? So if we move along to question D, we've got another parabola, another quadratic equation, and the same thing applies there. Because of the squared, the smallest value that you can put in, or the smallest value that can get out, I guess, of the bracket is going to be a 0. 2 times 0 is 0. And so for your range, you want to write the range as y is greater than or equal to 0. And what I'm finding on your assignment is that you're missing most of the cases where it should say greater than and equal to. You're missing the equal. So the questions that applies to are question F, question G, and then going down to question 3, question 3A, it should say y is greater than or equal to 1. And on the next page, 3C and 3D should also be corrected. For 3C, because it's flipped, your range and your domain are flipped, then what we're looking for there is that x is always greater than or equal to 0. And for D, y is always greater than or equal to 3. Okay. Now, question F, this one here, this one here, should be for the range y is greater than or equal, or less than or equal to 0. G should be y is greater than or equal to 1. And H should be y is, sorry, not H, too early in the morning, y equals less than or equal to 3. Now when we go to the circle, what we're going to do for the circle is the range and the domain are contained between a certain interval. There's 2 different ways to write that. One way would be to write it like this. X is always going to be less than or equal to positive 7. Or greater than or equal to minus 7, and you're going to do that for the range as well. There's also another convention to write domain and range when it's an interval, and it's called interval notation. We're going to use a square bracket to show that minus 7 is one of the values included in the domain, and the highest value included in the domain is positive 7, and we're going to end that with a square bracket. Now, if your domain was only x is less than 7 or greater than minus 7, we would use round brackets there to show that minus 7 is our boundary value, but it's not one of the values that x is equal to. So when it's a square bracket, it means x can also be equal to that value. If it's a round bracket, it means that x that's our starting point, but x can never be exactly that value. So please have another look through that assignment and just go over those corrections that I've described. It's a really important thing, especially going into university level math. They really expect a lot of this in first year courses. Let me know if you have any further questions too.